You know, for me, I think I would have had a harder time trying to fit into the regular, you know, Marvel scheme of things. And this gave me a chance to take what I loved about Marvel movies and Marvel comics and create a whole new universe, which is really, you know, what has been the most exciting thing for me, you know, in my entire professional career. When I was a kid, I was obsessed with different planets in the solar system. And I used to create for every single planet a different alien race with a certain kind of pet and a certain kind of house and a certain kind of you know, water system and everything. And I would draw all these pictures, and I had hundreds of these pictures and had them in a box. And really, to me, this is like going back to that childhood box and creating this, you know, fun universe.
Chris, you've had your fair share of having to gain and lose weight for parts recently. Do you relate to your female colleagues and what they go through with media scrutiny?
Do you mean like, are you saying that I might be responsible for giving men body image issues? That's what you're saying. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said. You know, in terms of the attitude, that was something that, like, you know, and kind of the whole process for me on this one was just trusting James, really, and taking big swings and sometimes falling flat on my face, and just like, the big challenge for me was just trying to ignore the embarrassment of being an actor. It's a pretty embarrassing thing to do. You got people pointing cameras at you and hundreds of people watching you as you're trying to be great, and often, almost every time, you're not. And then there's one moment where you are, and the editor will take through all the shit to find it and then put it in the movie. You know, so the challenge is not like finding the attitude. It's really just like being open and willing to go for it and try different things and having a director that you can trust. And so the attitude is not something that I intended or created. It's something James intended and created by getting me to try different things. And so that's really what that was about.
Oh, well, you, I mean,
wow.
You created that attitude. That's you took it care of.
Do that? How did you do that?
It's a gift. No, I don't know. I'm gonna get better at this. I've never done this that much. So acting is something I've learned how to do through trial and error, you know. And I'm sure press conferences will do the same thing.
You're just so perfect in this role. I'm wondering, and also.
You're right.
Well, exactly. You're getting better at this already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, when I started writing the script, there was a script before my script, and then it didn't 100%, you know, speak to me. So I wanted to make some pretty major changes, and I rewrote the whole script. And the very first thing that I thought of was this idea of the Walkman and the cassette tape, which is really this character's connection to his home planet of Earth. And that was the emotional center of the film. If the MacGuffin of the film is this orb that everyone's chasing after, the emotional center is this Walkman. And so it was just a natural part of the screenwriting process. All those songs that you see in the movie, Hooked on a Feeling, you know, Redbone, Come and Get Your Love, you know, were all written into the film. They're all part of the screenplay. So they were there from the ground floor up.
Gamora and Neytiri are both badasses, but other than that, they're practically opposites. Can you compare and contrast the two and your approach to them?
I feel they're very different. Neytiri grew up in a household where she was loved and she was held as a child. Gamora was taken, sort of like the Lost Boys of the Sudan. She was taken from her village, from her planet, and forced into a life of violence and crime. So there's this pain that follows her wherever she goes, but there's this last hope that she has that she can possibly get away. So I did try to find some similarities between them, but I don't think they would play together in a playground. Gamora's a hustler. Neytiri doesn't even know how to lie.
Yeah, I'm new to Marvel. I guess this whole thing started for me with a kind of a social media wave that was adamant about me doing something with Marvel. And there wasn't really a 6-month window to do a character at Marvel. So when Kevin Feige called me and said that him and James were talking about me playing a role, I had no idea what role it would be. And they sent over a book of conceptual art. And I went into my living room with my kids, and I opened up the book, and I asked the kids what character they thought they wanted Daddy to play. And they all pointed at the tree. And I knew that was a good sign. Something very beautiful happened in playing this role. Something that, as an actor, I never would have imagined. And that is when my kids see trees, they refer to the trees as my brothers and sisters. And so they'll say, "Look, Daddy, it's your brother and sisters." And the idea to be associated with trees like that is remarkable. It's so much more gratifying than you would ever imagine.